1994. Our family were distributors, just like you. And we had no desire. We never started a company because we thought we could do it better than anybody else. We had no desire for ownership because business ownership sometimes has its challenges. You got to think about a lot of different things. When you're out there in the field, all you really have to focus on is growth and being positive and personal development and the fun stuff. Leave inventory control and product authorization and legal stuff to the corporate. And that's what we were doing. And our life was going well. At the high point, our family, between my two sisters, my parents, myself, and my brother, together as distributors, we were earning $350,000 a month in income. And we were selling a black liquid health tonic called KM. And it was not a dessert topping. The reason Vima tastes good is because I said I will not spend the rest of my career with something that tastes like motor oil. So, everything happens for a reason. So 1994 rolls around. In February, I remember working up in Salt Lake City on a video because corporate could not market their way out of a paper bag. And so I was working on a video and I got a phone call. Your mother has a brain tumor. And for the first time, I was scared. So I get her on the phone and I say, I'm coming home. And she's like, no, you stay and finish the video. And I thought, wow, it can't be serious then. Well, it was serious, and in May she went to heaven, and what was strange for our family is everything normally worked out for us. I mean, we went through a bankruptcy. They repossessed everything. I mean, it was creditors calling on the phone. I mean, it was some trying times, and it always worked out. My dad always said, hey, we got to work together, keep the ship afloat, and, my sister went to work at C's Candies, and Lauren went to work as a housekeeper, and I went to work as a bag boy, and my brother went to work at the car wash, and my mother went to work as a waitress, and I remember my mom was very, very sensible, and if somebody was eating something and they didn't finish it, she thought, I'll bring that home. And so she would cut the part of the steak or the chicken or whatever off that was eaten, and she'd bring home doggy bags, and us kids would eat doggy bags, and we thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And, on Sunday, when Mom would come home from work in the brunch, she'd bring us macaroons and big chocolate chip cookies and frog legs. And I remember my dad sitting in the hammock in the backyard eating frog legs out of a doggy bag, and he said to me, son, it doesn't get any better than this. And I thought, attitude is everything, isn't it, Dad? And, that was back in the early days, and in 1994, it didn't work out for us. And, we thought we had life by the tail. And when you hear those words of a loved one, you've got cancer, everything changes. I don't care if you're making $350,000 a year or a month, it changes. And all of a sudden, all of your priorities get focused where they're supposed to be. May, she goes to heaven, and we were sort of out of it as a family, leaving things in the hands of the wonderful corporate team at Mattall. And just when you think 1994 couldn't suck any worse, 10 days before Christmas, we get a phone call, and it says, we're going into bankruptcy, and nobody's getting a check. And I remember grown men on their phone on this conference call crying, saying, I have to take my Christmas presents back. And, my dad he was 68 at the time and had worked his way up through Amway. He was an executive diamond with Amway, and then they moved over to Mattall, and his whole life was a network. His whole life was this network. And he looked at his kids and he said, guys, you better do something. And so we went out to find a home. We looked at a couple different companies, and what we found was this glaring need in the marketplace of a company that thought like a distributor. And we come back and we said, Dad, it's pretty slim pickings out there. And this company called Enrich had put a bounty on Mattall distributors' heads saying, you come with us and we'll make your check good. And the family started panicking, and we thought to ourselves, you know what? If those monkeys can run a company, we can run a company, and let's start a company that thought like distributors. So Christmas, the holidays in 1994 were kind of a trying time, but it was almost like God said, here is your wake-up call. You know, let's get it together. We got bigger things ahead. And March of 95, we launched a company called New Vision, and I remember that we had the New Vision. We merged New Vision over into Vima. There's some New Vision people in the audience. How do you guys like Vima? Hey, there you go. And I remember going to church on Sunday, because we're thinking of a name. You got to think of a name. It's a big, big deal. And to come up with a name that's hopefully going to last forever. And I remember the pastor talking about, you need a new vision for the 90s. And I got goosebumps on my arms. I said, New Vision, that is it. And Peter Riley was our attorney at the time, and he helped us with the actual, before he worked for us, he helped us with the actual incorporation of the New Vision company. And we started. And, you know, the biggest knock against the family was, you guys are just a bunch of distributors. What the heck do you know about running a company? And that's when my dad's philosophy really kicked in, where we said, hey, we don't know how to do operations, and we don't know how to do fulfillment, and we don't know how to do accounting. But you know what we know how to do is lead. And you can hire all that other stuff done. And so we started New Vision, and it was humble. I mean, you know, to earn $350,000 a month, you know you've got to have a big team. And only 1,900 people came with us, and everybody else kind of scattered in the wind. I wonder what they're doing now. But my dad told us the story of, you know, Gideon's army, and he goes, you don't need everybody, you just need the people that you're supposed to have. And that's what we have here tonight, the people we're supposed to have. And we got started. We did $125,000 our first month, and after 6 months, we were doing $500,000 a month. And a guy by the name of John Valenti comes to us and says, hey, I've got this audio tape that I want to mail out, and when people call, I'll sell them minerals, essential minerals, which is in our Vima formula. And I always want to be an encourager, and I'm thinking, here's a 23-year-old kid that wants to mail out tapes and wait for the phone to ring. And I said, okay, go ahead. You know, I'll encourage you. And he calls me back at 10 o'clock at night at home about 2 days later. And the phone rings, and you can imagine how happy you are to hear from a distributor at 10 o'clock at night on your home. And he says, I have to quit your company. And I'm like, oh, terrific. Why is that? He goes, well, I talked to Dr. Wallach, you know, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie tape, and he said, you can only mail it out if you become a distributor with me. And so he goes, I'm going to join Dr. Wallach. And I said, well, you know, John, you seem like a smart enough kid, and you probably could run 2 companies, and so why don't you just join his and mail out the tapes, and when the phone rings, does he have flavored minerals? And John said, and if you've ever tasted unflavored minerals, it is the nasty. It makes KM taste like a dessert topping. I mean, it's nasty. And I said, why don't you just ask the people, do they want flavored or unflavored? If they want unflavored, you sell them his. If they want flavored, you sell them ours. $20 million later, I paid their family because of that one little comment that I happened to make at 10 o'clock at night when I didn't feel like talking to anybody. And it was $20 million. And so, fast forward, New Vision, $27 million a month in sales. And the wonderful government officials at the regulators come knocking on our door and say, hey, let's see the verification for these claims that are being made on this audio tape. And my brother and I looked at each other and we said, there's claims on the audio tape? To give you an idea how many tapes were going out there, we were paying because Dr. Wallach didn't want to sell me the tape. And I went to meet him in Seattle, and I said, you know, Doc, he goes, you can buy my books, but I ain't selling you the tape. And I'm flipping through his books in a Sizzler in Seattle. And I said, Doc, you know, a lot of the stuff in your books are the same stuff you talk about on your tape. And he says, what's your point? I go, it's kind of like a book on tape. I didn't think about it that way. 25 cents a tape. I'll sell it to you. And I said, fine. We were paying him $80,000 and $85,000 a month for these tapes in royalties. And $27 million a month, the regulators come say, you can't say this, and you can't say that, and you can't say this, and you can't say that, and you can't say this. And the great news about it is they never fined us. We, didn't have any of those kind of challenges. But, we just pleaded mea culpa, and we made the changes. And all of a sudden, because we didn't breed any leadership, it was just all mail out a tape and wait for the phone to ring. We didn't have anything like auto delivery. We hadn't invented that yet. And all of a sudden, sales started dropping. And so we started trying different things. And finally, sales got down to $1.9 million. And I'm a month from $27 million. Does anybody have a calculator? Leaders flinging and flying. Hey, you're nice, but I'm out of here. And in the meantime, my father had died from a heart attack. Just one tragedy after another. And you want to take that. Those two things that happen to you, and you want to have. My dad always said everything happens for a reason, and there's something positive. There's a seed of equivalent or greater benefit in anything that happens, and so we wanted to be able to find something great, and so I come up with this, and I didn't come up with the concept of Vima. Can you believe it? A guy by the name of Dan Putnam came to me. He was a New Vision guy, just started. He goes, "Hey, I got this idea. I want to start a binary company and sell essential minerals and mangosteen plus, and on their first order through a binary, and then put them into the unilevel on the New Vision side." And I went, "Hey, I'm an encourager. Hey, that's good. Just go ahead. You place an order, I'll ship it." Next day air at 1.9 million. I mean, bring them. I'm looking for the orders here. And he goes away and he comes back. He says, "I can't afford to do the programming and all that kind of stuff." So the idea died. But a guy by the name of Dave Rasmussen said. He didn't say it. He bugged the crap out of me. Like every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, he's coming in my office. "Dude, you should really do this. I mean, this is a really good idea." So after, I don't know, Dave, what, a month, 2 months? How long did I wait? 9 months. 9 months of him. Just every, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? It was relenting. He was relenting. Dave should be telling this story. And comes in, and I finally say, "You know what? I guess I had forgotten how much work it takes to start a company." And I said, "You know what? We're going to do this, and it's going to be called," get a load of this, "One Focus Marketing." It's catchy. Doesn't it roll off the tongue? Welcome tonight to the One Focus Marketing event. So Peter Riley says, "Dude, that name sucks." And Peter Riley came up with the name Vima. He took all of the letters, and it was like Scrabble, and he was making the words out and all this kind. And Peter Riley actually came up with the name Vima. And I went, "Vima, okay, that's cool." And so we launched Vima, and a month or two either before or after we launched, my number one distributor, John Valenti, decided to quit, decided to sell. He goes, "I'm out of here." And I'm like, wow, how do you spin that? If Vima's so wonderful concept, you're number one guy, you paid his family $20 million to, he's out? That's not marketing brochure copy. I mean, that's just a tough thing to explain. My brother, everybody's asking me, how come your brother's not a part of this? My brother decided that he wanted to sell out. We are family owned and operated. I own 75% of the company. My sisters own 25% of the company. And hope you guys are okay with that. And so we rolled up all our quarters, and we decided to pay my brother off, and he decided to go in a different direction. That was tough. That's enough. Okay, so here's what we got. Your brother leaves you. Your number one guy leaves you. I think 6 months later. Tom, when was your car accident? All right. So we launched in November of 2004, and 7 months later, our number one guy almost dies in a car accident. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because you guys got to understand, when you leave here, this is like a nice warm bath that we're all in. And when you leave here, it can get cold out there. And there's an analogy of a crab pot. And when you have one crab in the pot, you have to keep the lid on because the crab will crawl out. But if you put two crabs in there, you can leave the lid off. And why do you think that is? Because if a crab tries to get out, the other crab's going to do what? It's going to pull him back down. And I'm trying to set the stage of what we had to go up against to be able to get to where we are today. And whatever you have to go up against, it may be tougher than what we had to go up against. I doubt it, but it may be tougher than what we had to go up against, but it's still going to be worth it. And so the guy, Dan Putnam, didn't even stick around for Vima. He quit. And, I mean, it's like his concept, and he quit. Brother quit. Number one distributor sold. Top leaders were quitting. And you know, when I was coming up with this one focus marketing idea, I brought the 13 top New Vision leaders to Carlsbad, California. We had a meeting, and I said, guys, this is my concept, you know, blah, 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 this is what we want to do. And 12 of the 13 said, don't do it. Just stick with New Vision, keep doing what you're doing. It's going to turn around. And that's tough, because I always pride myself into listening to the feedback. My dad always said, the best ideas come from the field leaders. You always got to listen to the field leaders. We have an executive or elite club that I bring you guys in. I listen to you. We have calls once a month. I'm listening to you. I'm running, you know, confidential stuff past you that typically isn't done in companies. But I want to do it to make sure that we're on the right track and we're thinking like distributors. We're not thinking like a bunch of corporate people that are out of touch with what's going on in the field, because you guys are on the front lines. You guys are the ones that need to be equipped and armed with the best product, with the most competitive marketing plan. And I've always prided myself in being a company that pays attention. So we got started with this little Vima concept, and it was cute. We had a green bottle and we had a purple bottle, and you mix them together. And we had that because in New Vision we had a green bottle and essential minerals in one bottle, and we had mangosteen plus in the other bottle. And I went to a meeting once, and we had a little tote thing that carried it with a little shot glass. And I went to a meeting once, and one of the brand partners said, "Why don't you mix them for us?" Could do that, I guess. You know, I could have made up some BS story about, well, when you mix them, they synergistically combine and create a formulation that's 4 times more powerful if they're kept separately. But it made sense to me. I thought, you know, people are busy. It's easy to just do it. Why make somebody open one bottle and then open another bottle and measure it out and all that kind of stuff? And so we have come a long way in a short period of time. I mean, 6 years is nothing in this industry. You know, you heard Brad Wayman talk about how 90 or 95% of the companies fail. Almost all of them fail. I mean, it is, and I've seen it. I mean, I've lived it, and people come up and they go, well, this is ground floor, and I'm like, oh my God, that's not what you look for. You know, if you look for a culture that has an environment for growth, you look at a culture that you resonate with, you feel comfortable with, that you feel like you're home. That's what you don't look for ground floor. You don't look for 80% payout, you know, which means that they have nothing in their product, and you don't look for those things. You look for a product that you can believe in, a company that you can believe in, and leadership that you can believe in, and then you go to work. And there's going to be people that are going to pick on you. I remember when I was selling advertising, and I worked Mattall part-time for 6 months, and at 6 months I was making $2,000 a month, and I just hated my job, and I thought I could eat Kraft macaroni and cheese and go full-time. And I remember this guy, Drew, I forget his last name, Drew something or other. When I was leaving, he said to me, "You'll be back begging for your job in 6 months." And I thought, I didn't need that on audio tape back then or CDs, because it was up here in my head. And you tell me something like that, I should give that guy ownership in this company if I knew what his last name was, because I owe so much to that comment that he made. Because you want to talk about a strong why? My why at that time was, I'm not going to let him be right. Because I am going to fight for what I do not want to be in a job the rest of my life. God did not put you on this planet to be a servant to everybody for the rest of your life. He put you on this planet to prosper and thrive. So, our story is, 6 years later, a very happy ending, but it's not the ending, it's just a chapter. And it's a story that has yet to be finished being written. And the great thing about our story is you guys are the authors. You guys are the ones that get to decide how this comes out for you and for all the people that you don't even know yet. I mean, I talk about a pebble in the pond and the ripples go out. The thing that excites me about an event like this is because you guys are fired up and you're determined to make a difference. And there's people you haven't even met yet that are going to thank you, like the people coming across the stage. How grateful they were that somebody took the initiative and somebody overcame the fear to talk to them about this mission that we're on. And you want to know something? You saw people from all over the world come across the stage, and there's people in your neighborhood that are just like this. There's people in your workplace that are hurting physically, they're hurting financially, or somebody. You know, I was talking to John Fina when he came off stage. He goes, you know, I heard those stories, and I've got 2 people in my family that have those same 2 health challenges, and I got to go talk to them right now. And that's the way this business works. This business has grown organically. We're not launching a big Madison Avenue advertising campaign. You know, we just count on you guys to get excited about what you have in your hands and do something, because this business can transform your life forever and your children's life and their children's life. You know, I was doing an interview once and they go, so what's your exit plan? I guess in corporate, you know, I'm not a real corporate guy. I hire guys that are real corporate guys. I'm a field guy. And they go, so what's your exit plan? And I guess that's, you know, corporate speak for how the hell are you getting out of this thing that you started here. And I said, I have, it's a detailed exit plan. It entails 4 kids that are going to get up and I'm going to raise them up right and teach them about being entrepreneurs and teaching them about dealing with people and teaching about dreaming and get them to run this company. And that's my exit plan. And it might take me 20 years or 30 years to get to that point, but you'll never really get rid of me because I'll always be hanging around, especially with desserts like they had tonight. Holy smokes. Dr. Oz can poke my Omentum all he wants, man. I'm eating that. That chocolate piece of paradise. But that's our story. And I wanted to tell you, and I'm sorry I went a little bit over, but I wanted to tell you that when you see us up here, when you see our family up here, we fought like hell to be up here. We all right. Thank you. But you guys, thank you. But you guys, thank you. The applause was a little long. I felt awkward for a minute, but don't do that anymore. But I say that to say this. It's worth the fight. It's not going to be all, like Jim Rohn used to say, happy high notes. There are going to be people that say you're crazy. There are going to be people that mock you. There are going to be people that criticize you, look down on you, say you can't do it. But I want you to use that as fuel for your passion, that you guys need to doubt your doubts before you doubt your beliefs. And the reason these events are so important is because we take your belief level to a whole new level. How many people have a whole new level of belief in what we're doing here?